Oh, because I'm better than you?
It's just basically different.
In a better way.
Shut up, bitch!
Grasping for a handhold in a tempest. There is a tempest in me.
You have the boy's magic.
No, this magic belongs to no boy.
After the massive flop that was The Marvels, I think it's time that we make a video discussing what makes a great, strong female character. In cinema, we've always had great, strong female characters, such as my favorites include Trinity from The Matrix, Eowyn from Lord of the Rings, Ripley from Aliens.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Wonder Woman. I would even classify Hermione as a strong female character. So in this video, I'm not going to be bitching and complaining about the trope of strong female characters. I'm going to be giving my opinion on what makes a strong female character likable. First thing that I realized that makes a strong female character likable is that she is part of a whole, and that she respects that the fact that she's part of a whole, and that she interacts with other characters is a part of a whole. So what do I mean? A good example is Hermione. Hermione in Harry Potter, there's a reason why, even though she's like the most intelligent character in the room, she never comes off as like an insufferable bint. And you know why? It's because she understands that she's part of a group and that she respects that group. She's there to help. She's there to assist in times of danger, in times of peril, and times of difficult situations. She's not there to act like some sort of entitled know-it-all. Yes, she is a know-it-all, but she doesn't come off that way, and that is simply because she understands the fact that she is there to assist others, and she's not just there to assist herself. Unlike a good contrast is She-Hulk.
So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
She-Hulk, who honestly, I only survived one episode of She-Hulk. In the first episode where she really disrespects Bruce Banner. Disrespecting your mentor is the worst way to write a character. That's the worst way to write a character. You cannot have her disrespect the people who came before, the people who can mentor her to grow her powers, and then expect that the character will become likable. Even Galdriel from Rings of Power, in the first episode she is commander of the Northern Armies and whatever, but the way she leads those guys, she doesn't make it about the group, she makes it about herself. Even when trying to defeat the cave troll, you definitely see the way the writers wrote her. They tried to make her look like, oh, she can beat a troll by herself, and that makes her a great character. But what happens literally in the next scene? Her group mutinies and abandons her. That is like the worst way to write a female character. That makes sure that the audience does not like her at all. The second thing that I noticed is that a great female character cares for others and not the self. Now, I know this sounds like a repetition, but being part of a whole is the external dynamic, while caring for others is part of her internal dynamic. What do I mean by internal dynamic? The way the character thinks and reasons and operates, while part of a whole is how she interacts with others on the outside. So a good example of this is Katniss. Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games. The thing that makes her story so compelling is how she chooses to sacrifice herself for her sister. You see there, Katniss is not in a group, right? Katniss is by herself. It's just her and her sister. But then she chooses to sacrifice herself for her sister as a tribute for the Hunger Games. Shows you how much she is a very intelligent and great female strong character. Another example is Arwen. Arwen from Lord of the Rings. The first time you see Arwen from Lord of the Rings, what does she do? What's the first major thing that she's doing? She's trying to help Frodo, who has just been stabbed, get to her father so that Frodo can be cured. It's about caring for others, not the self. One of the most powerful scenes in Aliens, the second movie, there's Alien and Aliens, the second movie, Alien. I think what I love the most about that movie is when Ripley decides to go for that girl who has been kidnapped by the aliens. That scene to me is one of the most powerful, because Whereas in other movies, like let's say Taken, in Taken where Liam Neeson is going for his daughter, Ripley is not going for her daughter. This girl is just a stranger she met. But because she cares about others and not the self, she decides, fuck it, I'm taking this gun, you're giving me 20 minutes, I'm going to go fight those aliens and recover that girl. That's what makes her such a great female character.
How about a handshake? You're gonna give me your jacket, your helmet, and your motorcycle, and in return, I'm gonna let you keep your hand.
Number 3 has to be, she's not a man. She's not a man. Hollywood execs, Hollywood blockbuster writers need to stop trying to write strong female characters like men. Women get hurt, women cry, women love. That is how you write a good, human, strong female character. A good example of this is Arwen. I think for me one of the most moving moments for Arwen in Lord of the Rings is when she sees that Frodo is about to succumb to the stab wound and she starts to cry. That to me was such a moving moment and it made me like her so much. Wonder Woman, first of all, as I said, is part of a group. Remember that. There are many times that she sacrifices herself. And number 3, she loves fiercely. She has Chris Pine as her female interest, and you see how even when he dies in the movie, in the explosion, although I think he came back later, right, or something. I didn't watch the second movie, Kinley, but Chris Pine in that first movie, you saw that when he died, you saw the way she reacted, and that is how you write a good female character, is that she's not stoic or unemotional like the way they try to write Galdriel in Rings of Power, or the way they try to write Captain Marvel. Modern blockbusters don't even have females having a male companionship or love interest nowadays. It's just she's a strong boss bitch and she wants to be by herself. A good example is Peter Pan and Wendy in the Peter Pan remake. There's this one scene where she starts to envision her future, and her future is just her traveling, being a boss chick, and dying alone. That's literally, if you watch Peter Pan and Wendy, you know the scene I'm describing. There's a part where she's just depicted as wanting to be by herself, no husband, no children, dying by herself. Like, you can't write her like she's not a woman. Women love. Women have emotions. And when they strip her of this, they make her a very unlikable female character. And the next thing has to be brains, not brawn. I think it's time that Hollywood stops with the whole thing of trying to depict a small girl who's like 50 kgs trying to fight a dude who looks like The Rock. It will never happen. She will never win. Realistically, it cannot work unless she uses tactics to her advantage. A good example of this is obviously Black Widow. She's not buff. She has the figure of a woman and the look of a woman, but she's able to take down men simply because she uses tactics, weapon skills, maneuvers, and that's what makes her such a believable, strong female character. Another example I really like is Kill Bill. Kill Bill, my favorite scene is in Kill Bill 2, when the way she takes down Bill. I don't want to explain how, but if you watch that movie, you saw the maneuver that she used to take down this guy. And that's what makes a character likable, is when they don't try to depict her as like big and buff, but instead, because we understand that women are naturally smaller, shorter, slimmer than men, that they have to use their brains. Yeah, a good example is Trinity. My favorite scene from The Matrix is when Trinity says that she's going to take down a building in 5 minutes, and you're like, how the fuck is she going to take down a building in 5 minutes? Oh, and then she gets on her bike and she lets the bike collide into a building. Like, intelligence, maneuvers, strategy, that's what makes a great, strong female character, is that she's not trying to be strong necessarily with muscle, is that she tries to overcome challenge using her brains and her mind. And lastly, what makes a strong female character great is that she earns her power. She earns her power in a logical way, and she earns the audience's respect by overcoming challenges. The one thing that writers of nowadays always try to do is they try to create these female characters who don't have to work for their ability. She just gets the power and suddenly she's very good at using it. An example is Peter Pan and Wendy. An example is She-Hulk. An example is Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel was strong in the beginning of her movie, and then she just rips off this chip and then boom, she becomes even more powerful. There is no hero's journey. There is no process of her learning how to grow and fight. A good example of this is obviously Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is a literal goddess.
You will train her harder than any Amazon before her. 5 times harder. 10 times harder.
But instead, she had to start off as a small child, learning how to fight, learning how to train. It has to be shown that she is growing and that she's trying to overcome challenge. And with those 5 things, I think that is where I can say that until modern Hollywood learns to infuse these things into strong female characters, have always been there. It's not something new, but I think there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. Thank you so much for watching my video. On the screen, I'll leave some other reviews you might be interested in. I'll see you in the next one.